All right, welcome to my submission video for SGDQ 2023 for Sonic Heroes. Today I'm going to be running through Team Chaotix, which is a pretty interesting way to play through the game. Instead of just getting to the goal ring like these other three teams, we have some missions that we have to complete. And so I'm going to be showing off this game's really cool movement and also accomplishing specific missions along the way. Just as a brief overview, as I'm getting started here, Heroes has not been in an in-person GDQ at least since 2015, so it's been 8 years now, and I really think this game has come a long way in that time, and I think it really deserves to be at another event, and this is a perfect category to do that in because we're going to see a lot of what this game has to offer, including a lot of different speed tech. So there I just did a rocket excel and went over the speed pad with Vector so I could slow myself down enough to jump over to that side path with SPO. And yeah, Seaside Hill is one of the trickier levels right off the bat. There's a lot of very minute movement that you have to do to avoid hitting walls that slow you down, for instance. Right there I do a loop skip off to the left so I don't have to go around that huge loop. But yeah, this game is very input heavy. There's a lot of things you have to do in a small amount of time. And this game, although you do a lot of it with your speed character, as you might expect, you do actually play as Vector and Charmy a lot too. There's a lot of character switching that occurs. And so I just completed that first level. That is the first mission-based level in the run where we have to collect 10 crabs. So we've routed out which 10 we want to get, and I believe it's the first 10 that we encounter. So it's just about routing and making sure we pick all of them up. This level, on the other hand, is one where we do just make it to the end and rescue the lost Chao that's at the end of the level. So right there, those doors, Vector can only open because he's the power character. But we do a really cool tech where we belly flop the first hit, and then we run along the ground so fast that the hitbox is still active and takes care of the second hit through the door. Much like that. Pretty difficult to do, but it saves a lot of time. Here we're just gonna fly up here and get a little baby zip up to that ledge. Basically, if I thunder shoot right as I get up to the height where the ledge is at, I can kind of zip across it. I got a small one there. Here we're just going to fly over to where this path dips down again. And we're coming up on the end of the level here. So Charmy can open these flowers, which teleport us to other parts of the level. And we will ground excel out of that flower. So that's something I've been doing a lot with Vector, is that belly flop move into the ground. I will belly flop, and then while I'm in the air, I'll switch to SPO, and that makes it so that I get a ton of speed as I hit the ground. You've probably noticed I've been doing that a lot already. 110, very good time. But yeah, so this game has a lot of really cool movement tech, and Chaotix especially, with all these mission-based levels. There's a lot to kind of explain and go into further detail on. The next level that's coming up is Grand Metropolis. That's a bit of an interesting one because we're going to be killing every robot that's in the level, and there's 85 of them. So it's a lot more combat oriented, and I'll try to do my best to explain that. Right now we're coming up on Egghawk, which is the first boss in the run. This one's pretty simple, so instead of going forwards towards him, we're actually going to turn around immediately. Go backwards. There's an invincibility power up in there that we're going to grab. And we're going to get 2 fire dunks on him here and lure him back to this beach. I'm going to do a little bit of damage with Charmy there, and now he's just going to come down and kind of rotate into me. And because I picked up that invincibility, I don't have to worry about taking damage. I can just switch to Vector and kind of spam attacks at him, and he goes down pretty easily. So yeah, that's the first area done. And now we're moving on to the metro area, I guess. So we got Grand Metropolis and then Power Plant. But yeah, it would be really cool to see this game in a GDQ again. Like I said, it's been a while, and I think the community has grown a lot, and this game is more active than it's ever been, which is really cool. We actually just wrapped up with a Team Rose tournament back in November that went really well, and I know a lot of people would be excited to see this game at a huge marathon like this, so I hope you guys consider it. Alright, so here, this is what I was talking about. We got 85 robots that we have to destroy, and there are a lot of different ways we can speed this up. So, right there, I picked up a speed power up in the middle of the level, so you can see SPO is level 1 already. Oops. There we go. Now he's level 2, so that's good RNG. That means I can kill these guys right away. And these guys up here. My homing attack is a lot stronger now that I've gotten level 2. And the character levels you end up getting from enemy drops is sort of random. You can influence it depending on which characters you kill certain enemies with. It gets a little complicated, but I'm basically routing out the level ups I get. I'm good on SPO level ups. I need Charmy level ups now, which is why you saw me grab that checkpoint back there as Charmy, because I can guarantee a level up with whatever character I decide to grab that with. And then I got another random drop with Charmy, so I'm level 2 with Charmy, and you can see that's really powerful. So we're all good on level ups at the moment. I need my 3rd SPO level up for a robot coming up later in the level. I should be able to grab it here. Yep, I'm lined up with the checkpoint, so I'll just run through this with SPO. Now I'm level 3, and we're good to go. There are some enemies behind these doors, so I'm just going to open them up, take care of this guy. We're at 33, and then these 3, 36. We can keep going. Pretty decent movement here. This is one of the longer levels in the category. Team Chaotix is a little interesting because they have a mix of really short levels and also pretty long levels. Pretty long meaning like about 3.5 minutes, and then pretty short being like 26 seconds in the case of like Casino Park, for instance. Ooh. And there you saw me charge up a Rocket Excel trying to go through the door as fast as possible there. Unfortunately, I have to rely on my 2 characters, Charmy and Vector, to line up behind me, and they sometimes don't like to do that. This is pretty good so far. We're at 66 after I kill this one, which is correct. Always want to be paying attention to that counter in the bottom right for levels like this, because there are only 85 total robots, so you can't afford to miss any of them. So knowing what that counter is supposed to be at certain points of the level is very important. Right there I do a little wall cling with SPO to like stop my ascent and get down quickly. Pretty cool. And I can homing attack that pole right there and start spinning around it because I'm level 3. That's one of the mechanics you unlock if you level up SPO fully, which is pretty cool. And we're coming up on the end of the level here. We got 3 more flapper robots, those floating guys, or 4 actually. We got that one, and then these 3 here. And then we're at 81. The last 4 are at the end of the level here. Yeah, that's one of the more difficult levels in the run. Unsurprisingly, it's pretty long, and there's some RNG, especially towards the beginning of the level with character level ups and stuff like that. But we're coming out of it with, what was that, probably a 330 or so. Yeah, 335. Not too bad. This next level is really interesting. So we have to kill, instead of 85 robots, we kill 3 robots, 3 specific ones. They're gold turtle robots. And this one's routed out very interestingly. So instead of going forward through the level, what we're going to do is go backwards initially and grab the 3rd golden turtle first. The one you would normally find at the end of the level. we're going to take the flower that is supposed to take us back to the beginning if we were to miss one. But actually take it to the end immediately, get the last one first, and then get the other two. Kind of an interesting route. And so we'll make our way up these blue paths, which let us float against the wall like that. Here we'll do an interesting trick called a catch-up flight, where I switch to Charmy and really quickly... I get like an upwards diagonal boost there. I missed the pulley, unfortunately, but that's kind of what it's supposed to look like. And here what I'll do to this guy is Rocket Excel so he floats up. And then... oh, okay. Never mind. I will do it on the last turtle instead. But basically, I can kill him with Charmy and Vector homing attacks. There we go. So yeah, if I just homing attack against the cage like that, Charmy and Vector will like shoot up at him into the air and kill him for me, which is actually a pretty recent strat. Very optimal. And so now we're coming up on the second boss fight of the game. This one is one of the 2 team fights. So you fight one of the other 3 teams periodically, this one being Team Dark. These fights usually have some funny quick kills like this one. Let me focus here. That should be good. Yep. So if I just hold right, switch to Charmy, and jump off the level at the perfect time, they should follow me off. Very funny looking. It looks absolutely brain dead, but I promise it's not. It's actually kind of tricky to pull off. It kind of looks like they just follow you no matter what, but that's definitely not the case. You have to manipulate them correctly. And speaking of pretty funny strats, Casino Park also has one. So the mission in this level is to get 200 rings as quickly as possible. And normally you're supposed to use the pinball table to do this, and it can take a long time. However, speedrunners are pretty clever. And now what we do is we thunder shoot one of our teammates into one of the slot machines and position ourselves right above where the slot of the slot machine is, if that makes sense, so that they get stuck inside of it and just collect rings for us infinitely. Ooh, I'm gonna try that again. So what I'm doing here is a pinball launch. It's a neat way to abuse the way that pinball physics work just to get a bunch of height here and get above this slot machine. I'm going to stand right here, and if I look down, we can see Vector is just going in and out and in and out and in and out of the slot machine, just getting rings for me, and I don't have to deal with the pinball physics at all, which is very, very helpful and saves a lot of time. That was the stage I was talking about earlier that only ends up being 26 seconds if you do it perfectly. 36 isn't too bad either, but I had to set up the pinball launch a second time, unfortunately. But yeah, very silly. And now we're coming up on Bingo Highway. Here's a stage where, as much as I would like to avoid pinball physics, I can't so much on this one. We have to get 10 of these chips. And much like Seaside Hill with the crabs, we do already know which 10 we're going to be picking up, and it's more about doing the route correctly. Whoops, gotta grab that. And I'm gonna do this jump across the gap with Charmy, which can be a little scary because he likes to land on Vector's head sometimes, falling down here. That's one funny thing about Chaotix specifically, is that you can actually stand on Vector's head. He's the only character that has collision in the game, and it tends to hinder you more than help you, especially in spots like that. So what I've done twice now is I've used SPO's homing attack to leave Charmy and Vector behind somewhere while I go out and get chips with SPO. And what that allows me to do is something like that, where SPO goes out, gets some chips, and then I can switch characters and go back instantly to wherever I left them. And that's a really cool routing technique that is specific to this level. So again, I tornado, leave them up there, go down, get this one, come right back up. And do this very tricky jump across the gap there. That was pretty good. And again, on this level, so what I'm going to do, or on this part, I should say, I'm going to get this chip up there with Charmy, and then switch to Espio, who's already further down the table, saving a little bit of time, and then grab this last one behind the lightning. Not too bad. And next we have Robot Carnival, which is basically just combat. There's a lot of RNG involved. Again, kind of like Grand Metro with character level ups. I can do certain things to influence the type of RNG I get. However, I can't ensure that it's going to be good every single time. It's kind of just damage control in certain situations. But after this level, we actually come up on the first bot boost in the run, which is a trick that is very famous in this game for skipping huge chunks of levels. And like I mentioned at the start, Team Chaotix is the only team in the game where most of the time you're not just going to the end of the stage, you're trying to collect things along the way. And so a trick like bot boosting isn't necessarily really helpful. However, there are 2 levels where they are very helpful, and the goal is to make it to the end of the stage, so we do actually end up using them. And I will explain how bot boosts work when I get there. It's a very cool trick. The 2 levels that incorporate bot boosts are very interesting because they each have 2 bot boosts in them that we chain together, sort of. We basically bot boost from one location to the next, and as soon as we land, we start up another one and go to the end of the level. It really shows just how broken of a technique it is. And so yeah, my RNG here is pretty good. I'm missing 1 vector level up, that's all, but I should be seeing it unless I get very unlucky. We have level 3 SPO for this turtle wave, which is really good. Makes homing attacking them like this very easy. And then hopefully right here I get my 3rd vector level up. This is my last wave I can get it for. There we go. Thank you, game. I'm gonna stand right here, wait for them to spawn in, and just do a bunch of combos. As far as power characters in this game are concerned, Vector is definitely the weakest one. Someone like Knuckles has a much better time dealing with like big waves of robots like that, but we make it work with Vector. And that was pretty good. I got decent RNG throughout all of that. So like I was saying, we're coming up on Rail Canyon. This is the first bot boost level because we're just trying to get to the end of the stage. And bot boosting is very tricky. So the idea, you're gonna see it in a few seconds, or not a few seconds, but like a minute. The idea is that we're going to take damage with Charmy in a very specific way where only the speed character gets hit out of the flight totem on the same frame that we land on the ground. And that kind of puts us in a weird state where the game thinks SPO is part of flight formation even though he's not. And it makes tricks like bot boosting possible. The beginning of the stage is kind of just an auto-scroller here. We're just kind of grinding along this rail, waiting for the point where we can jump down to a rail further along. So right here, switch to Charmy, correct my gravity a little bit because it can be weird there. And we make it all the way down here. Skip the end of that rail with Vector. Again, we're gonna jump down to the rail down here. And we're gonna get ready for this first bot boost. So I'm gonna focus up here for just a second. We're gonna do it off this guy. This is a frame perfect trick. Yep, so I'm trying to damage SPO. There we go. And then I'm gonna fly off. And you can see how far that sent me. So now the level's below me. I'm gonna turn the camera to get an idea of where I ended up. We're a little far back, but we should be able to land at this cannon section here. Yep. And then I'm gonna set up for the second bot boost. This one's a little different. We're gonna use a flapper for this one. I'm gonna stay as level 0 Charmy intentionally to not kill this guy. I'm gonna line up. Move forward, switch, go. Nice, and I'm gonna cancel it right here. Right above this rock. And now I'm gonna fall for a while. So yeah, that first bot boost took a while, but the second one was very clean. And now we're essentially falling to where the goal ring is here. This level normally, I think without skips, oh man, it's been a while. I think it takes a little over 2 minutes. I could be wrong about that. Or no. It takes well over 2 minutes. This is gonna be over 2 minutes with skips. The point is that saves a lot of time. Also, I've been missing a lot of splits.
Ultimate ninja power.
But yeah, you can see kind of what I mean. Like the first bot boost lined up straight into the second one, like almost perfectly. And if I would have landed in a better spot, I would have set up immediately for the second one. But yeah, the way bot boosts really work is very complicated. I'm sure if I had a commentary crew with me at GDQ, they'd be able to explain it for me. It's a lot to get into right now, but it's a very cool trick. This is one of the more difficult levels. We're getting 30 of these capsules, and there's a lot of tiny like camera manipulations and glides off of rails and stuff that are very scary to do. But I'm gonna try and get the movement as clean as I can here. There isn't too much to say about this one. Just a lot of small movement that can be optimized a crazy amount. Like, the skill ceiling for this game is so crazy. It's really hard to put into words. It lets you move so fast if you choose to get that good at it. That's one of my favorite parts of this game, is you can invest as much time into it as you want. There's probably always room to go up. So we're at 14 out of 30 here. We're gonna go over into this hallway, break these two, turn around really quick. Hopefully this guy's not shooting at me. He was, but I dodged it. And then get into the cannon. And this cannon runs on a cycle every 3.5 seconds. So you can kind of get a sense of what your pace is so far in the level. Right there, I got launched at 136. Not terrible, not the best, but I will absolutely take it. And now we're on an auto-scroller section here. The only thing I have to make sure is get that speed power-up balloon on the left that I just got, because having level 3 SPO later on is helpful for going up a pole in the train section. I'm gonna hang off to the left here and glide out of this ramp as Vector right as it starts curling up like that, and I can get this really cool skewed belly flop all the way down here, land right where this capsule is, and keep going. So I'm gonna intentionally, whoops, get this checkpoint with SPO. That's level 3, good. Use this ramp. This section's pretty scary. That was good though. 21, that's where we want to be. There's actually a capsule behind this door hiding, so I just belly flop against it. That's 22 out of 30. We'll go down to the train here. A lot of kill planes here, or like places to fall, I should say. And then I can just homing attack that pole with level 3. That's why I was routing out the level up. So I'm gonna roll around these spike balls and be very careful about opening up this flower, because if you dip too low here, you just kind of die. There's nothing you can really do. So yeah, like I was saying, one of the more difficult levels. But made it through there without too much of a problem.
ultimate ninja power.
And we're coming up on Egg Albatross. Now this is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest boss in the run. One thing to note is like all of the teams in this game fight the same. They go through the same levels and bosses in the same order. However, the fights end up being very similar, both very similar and very different across the 4 teams. For instance, this one, the strat that we do is very similar to what we do with Team Rose. However, because, as I was saying before, Vector's not the most reliable power character, his invulnerability frames are very low, it makes this fight a lot more difficult than it would be with Team Rose. I have to be very careful about how I attack him because it's very easy to get hit. And because he's like constantly swaying back and forth throughout the fight, if my rhythm in like fighting him, I guess, is off at any point, it kind of throws off the pattern a little bit, if that makes sense. Right there, that was perfect though. That was a very good fight. That third phase is very easy. I can just ground excel backwards, get him to approach me, and just fire dunk him one time, and he goes down right away. And yeah, 33. Can't ask for much more there. Very, very clean. And now we're coming up on the second bot boost stage. This is Frog Forest, another instance where we just want to get to the end of the level. And we have 2 more bot boosts here. These ones are a little bit more difficult than the ones in Rail Canyon, and they might take me a little bit to get. This first one especially is very finicky, so I am going to focus and try to get it in a timely manner here. So we're going to jump on him, get him in a shell, go around this. And because these bot boosts move so quickly and I need to not overshoot, I'm going to pause buffer so that I know exactly when I need to cancel them. And this is actually good. This is where I want to be. So I'm going to set up the second one here. Go straight to the right. Good. Go down here. This is another one I don't want to overshoot, so I'm going to pause buffer it. The camera likes to freak out on me. Hopefully this is good. Yep. Nice. So, yeah, that's the end of the level. That was very good. The mission there is to not get seen by any of the frogs. And because I skipped so much of it, that ends up not really being much of an obstacle, except at that very end section there, where I landed in front of 2 of them. So I just went invisible with SPO and ran to the end. That was very nice. I got those both first try. Very, very good. Again, very good example of why bot boosting is so broken. You don't even have to play levels sometimes. This one, another cool routing stage. We're getting 10 Chow in this level. And again, much like Power Plant, we're using a teleport flower at the beginning of the level to kind of go, not to the end necessarily, but kind of like halfway through it. And collect some that are at the end of the level. And then going back to the beginning. However, instead of taking a teleport flower back to the beginning, like Power Plant, instead we're going to strategically die as we get the 7th Chow over here. And then that's going to respawn us back at the start where we can get our last 3 by going this other route. We're going to let this robot fall. Deal 5 hits to him, so that's 4 and 5. Move on. That was Chow number 8, and then the last 2 are around the corner here. We go up. Get that one, get that one. Very good. That's a fun level to route. There actually was a brand new route discovered for that is very difficult the other day. I have not implemented it yet because it is so easy to screw up. But I do like that route. We've been doing that one for a long time. Alright, so now we're coming up on the second team fight. This one is even more silly than Team Dark. We literally, all we gotta do to kill Team Rose is hold left. Just hold left and don't let go. And they take care of themselves, basically. Hold left. keep holding left. And we win. Easy game, easy life. 9 seconds. All right. And we're coming up on what I consider to be the end game, these last 2 areas. So we have like the haunted levels, Hang Castle, Mystic Mansion, and then the Air Fleet levels, I guess, Egg Fleet and Final Fortress after that, and then we'll be all done. Hang Castle, collect 10 keys. You might be noticing a pattern here, a lot of collect 10x thing. This one's a little interesting though, because the other stages where we have to collect 10 items, usually we have a choice of which 10 we want to get. However, in Hang Castle, there are only 10 keys, so we have to make sure we're not missing any. And there's a really interesting trick at the end of this level that we'll call back on another thing I explained earlier. So we'll get key number 2 right there, go back up, dodge that guy as he appears in front of us and hits us. Very annoying. Or tries to anyway. I said key 2 earlier, I meant key 1. That was the first key, now we're at 3. We take this elevator up. Make sure we grab this one up here. Glide our way down. There's some pretty cool movement coming out of this orb here. I'm just gonna hold up and belly flop. We'll bounce into this key, get another belly flop to bounce up to the flower and get inside of it. Very good. We only stop in this room for just a split second to grab this, get back out, and we go for a pretty risky jump across this gap with SPO. I guess this is one thing I haven't explained is the shuriken jumps. The shuriken isn't supposed to let you float across the air like that. It's not meant to be like an aerial attack, but we use it as one because this game has a really cool mechanic where if I get a ton of speed and aim at a ledge and then do a grounded move right as I leave the ledge, it lets me continue the animation of that grounded move through the air and then jump out of it, which lets us like kind of float across the gap a lot further than we should be able to. And I've been doing that all over, but that's the first time I explained it. And here, this is called Infinite Flight Glitch. So you saw we got like kind of a second flight upwards along that wall. I mentioned in Bingo Highway, Vector is the only character in the game that has collision, and you can actually stand on him. And so in a spot like that where I need extra height, what I can do is thunder shoot my characters right up against the wall, and right as Vector comes back, I'm standing on him for exactly 1 frame, and if I get a flight out on that frame I'm standing on him, I will get a second flight and be able to get up there like that. Very, very janky. Okay, Mystic Mansion. This one is infamous. Probably also one of the hardest levels. We have to get 60 torches, and there are only 60 torches. No missing allowed. And on top of that, there's a big instance of RNG in this level too coming up. So I want to get an SPO drop. I need an SPO level early on so that I can get level 3 earlier than I normally would without it. And I did. Good RNG. So I'm level 1, which means my next 2 checkpoints I will pick up with SPO and be level 3 like fairly early on in the stage. And the reason level 3 SPO is so important for this level is because homing attack with level 3 has wind properties which put out torches. So instead of individually tornadoing all of these torches like I've been doing, once I get level 3 I can just homing attack past them and it's super duper fast. And it ends up saving like almost 20 seconds. So homing attack, so much faster. Love to see good RNG. We're gonna open this flower. Whoops, actually get into it. And then right as it loads in, I'm gonna go backwards, get this one, and then go this way. Homing attack across all of these very quickly. Get this target in the air. Make sure I don't leave this hallway until I'm at 30 out of 60. One annoying thing is that whenever characters are voice lining, like right now, I can't see the counter. And usually they're saying voice lines in moments where I would really like to see the counter to make sure I'm at the right amount, but sometimes you just have to keep track in your head. But 34 out of 60, we're on good pace here. I'm gonna go down, hit this switch, and catch the air current on my way up. That was really good. Get these two, and get this switch in the air. The 4 robots in this room coming up have shields, but I can rocket excel to get rid of them really quick, like this. That 0 rings, gotta be careful. And this guy, he's a hammer robot with a helmet, which is the hardest enemy to kill. It takes forever, so I'm just gonna opt the team blast. I think this is the first time I've team blasted in the run so far. With Chaotix, it is a very slow option to team blast. You tend to avoid it as much as you can because it's 9 seconds. But those guys take so long to kill that team blasting is actually a good idea. We're coming up on the spider web room here, which is the scariest room in the entire game. I'm going to try to be a gamer and get through it without slowing down too much, but very easy to die. Really important not to die in this level as well, because you lose all of your character level ups if you die. So this level 3 SPO that I got so lucky to get, I would just lose if I died. So I have to be very careful. That was good though. That was good movement. And we're at 52, I believe. Yep. So we're on pace here. We're going to go down. Get these 4. And 56 out of 60. The last 4 are in this white room here. I'm going to get those 2. And we're going to homing attack these last 2, which is kind of scary to do with that hammer robot there. Also, you're on a small platform and could just die pretty easily. 332 is a pretty good time, though. That was not too bad. Very happy to see good RNG in that level, that's for sure. This next level is Robot Storm. It is very similar to Robot Carnival. We fight waves of robots and hope for good RNG. This one's a little more... we got funny frame, let's go. This is a little more tricky than Robot Carnival, though. For one thing, there are no walls on the stage at all, so getting hit is very scary because you could just fall off. Okay, I want my characters to homing attack with me. Thank you. Sometimes the teammates don't cooperate the best, and it's a little annoying. Okay, so I have 2 vector level ups right now. I really want to see charmy ones. There's one. Hopefully I get the second one here before I move on to this next room. Okay, there it is. Grab it. Very similar to Carnival. Level 2 charmy is very good because Thundershoot is just kind of broken. The only other character level up I'm hoping for at this point is a 3rd vector one, which will help me out a lot later. There it is. I can just grab that. Cool. We're fully leveled now. It's pretty rare to get everything I need this early on, but I love to see it. This is the first instance where I'm going to fight very close to the ledge, and like I said, there are no walls. So you have to be very careful not to take damage in spots like this. That was good though. This next wave, 6 flappers are gonna appear off stage. Get rid of those really quickly, and then one of the reasons I wanted level 3 vectors for waves like that, where that would take a really long time to do without it. And it also lets me do this wave quickly. This would actually be another spot where team blasting, one of those rare instances where team blasting would be good if I didn't have level 3, but because I do, I can forego the team blast, thankfully. And we're gonna wait for these robots out here to spawn in. Normally it wants you to take that cannon there and kind of like snipe all these guys out of the air. Very slow to do. Much better to just jump out there and thunder shoot them. And similarly, these guys are gonna fall kind of slowly, but just thunder shoot them all. Mostly before they even have a chance to land. Get this last guy on top of the cage. And then these last two waves, they feature a bunch of guys that are difficult to kill. So these will be 2 team blast waves here. Just gonna wait until they're close enough. Let the team blast go. One nice thing about Chaotix team blast, you see how many rings I just got? That gives us a ton of meter. So by the time my cooldown is over in the top right there, I'm just gonna have another team blast loaded up right away. So I'm just gonna wait for that to show up and then let it rip one more time and we should be good. Good stuff. And we only have one more area to go. Just Egg Fleet, Final Fortress, and Egg Emperor. All very difficult. But yeah, this has been a pretty decent run so far. A lot of my ILs were a little rough around the edges, but like all the major tricks I was able to do pretty well. All right, so this level, we can't be seen by any robots or any enemies at all. And there are certain spots where it's pretty difficult not to be seen. It's kind of funny, like there are robots at the very start that you can literally like stand almost right next to and they won't see you. And then there's spots like at the end of the level where there's a robot that has a huge like vision box and can see you from really far away. So I don't know how they program these guys, but it's very inconsistent. Here I'm gonna glide off that rail and actually jump over a trigger. See, that's one of the guys, I can just stand right in front of him, he doesn't see me. Kind of funny. I'm gonna land up here, belly flop into the bottom of this span to get a ton of height out of it, and make my way over here. And I'm gonna be doing a really cool looking shuriken throw off of this part here to make it over to here. Wait for this platform to rise a bit, fall over here. That's a scary roll to do, but tends to work if you wait long enough. Get up here, and we're gonna do a really cool wall run off of the side of this ship coming up. So I'm gonna land with a ground accel here and float my way over to the right. Set it up here. Make my way down to the bottom. That was good. And then this fan here, another instance where I wanna jump into it and get a ton of height out of it so I can make my way up here without being seen. Make my way over here, glide, do another wall run over here. That should be good. Oh god, okay, keep going, jump. All right, cool. Very scary section there. Made it through. Go through those lasers. This is the guy I was talking about who can see really far for some reason. And we're at the end. Pretty good. Yeah, you want to be very careful around that last robot. Even if you make it up above the wall, he can still sometimes see you up there. Or like one of your characters could like fall in front of him and he sees them and you end up going back. And the last checkpoint's actually pretty far away. Like it's pretty devastating to have that happen on a good run. All right, Final Fortress, we get 5 keys. There are more than 5 keys, but we route the first 5 in, I believe. So right here, I'm gonna open this cage by killing these guys. The first key's right there. I'm gonna kind of rocket accel into it and grab it while jumping past it. That was a little weird. Glide up here. The second one's in this block. We get that one really quickly. We do a scary jump here with the shuriken. Don't fall in the hole, please. Thank you. Kill this guy. That's key number 3, which we grab with the wind hitbox from Rocket Excel from outside the cage. Kind of cool. Jump over this. Or almost jump over it, that is. That's another hammer robot with a helmet. We just team blast him. Very similar to Mystic Mansion. And we're going to grab this key with the wind hitbox again. Hit the spring with it as well. And do this jump, which is scary. Let's see if I can get it. Dang. That's too bad. That's another shuriken jump that you want to go for there. That sends you to the end of the level. That's a very bad death. It sends you back to the beginning. Luckily, there is a backup key if we take this flower. So if you do happen to die there like that, the fastest 5th key to get is that one, actually. This gate's going to close on us, but what I can do is do Team Blast glitches to build up my meter really quickly, and then kill the robots through the wall, which is going to open it, and then my last key will be on the other side. Usually not the one I want to go for, but it's a decent backup for mistakes like that. Almost got through it without a big mistake. Almost. Had to do it right at the end. Alright, so the final boss now is Egg Emperor. Hopefully, you like to see this boss go down in around 20 seconds. However, it's kind of hard to do that. Usually it ends up being around 30. If both of my teammates can latch onto him in one cycle, that's how I get a 20-second fight. But that's kind of out of your control. It feels kind of random if they both decide to do that. But regardless, the first half of the fight is always the same. We're going to Rocket Excel to get past Emperor first and grab the flight power up on our way, because we want to get level 2 Charmy to do a ton of damage to him. So we're going to get our first level up behind him quickly. We're going to go around the left side of him. Charmy's going to go through this ring and get the balloon up there. So you see I'm level 2. He rubber bands towards me, which makes him come back. And they both latched on, so that is... Come on. 1 cycle. There we go. 21 seconds. Basically a perfect fight. Let's go. And that is the run. That is GG. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. A lot of really cool movement. A lot of cool routing, cool strats. Just, I think, in my opinion, one of the most underrated speedruns that is out there. And it would be an honor to be able to run this game at GDQ after such a long hiatus. I think people would really enjoy it. I think it would fit well for the marathon. So I hope you consider having me. And thank you for watching.